I feel that it was something that I need to remember to turn that shit off for this. What was I talking about? Hello and welcome to the Two Step Podcast. I'm Bag, and joining me as always is Mag.
Hello!
And this time we didn't fuck up. So, today we have got a couple of interesting topics to talk about.
It's still time.
So the big ones that we're mainly going to be talking about are the new Xbox and the new PlayStation, what seems to be the most popular thing on the internet right now when it comes to the sham that is gaming journalism, which is the most influential game of the decade, and a couple other little things, but those are the major ones. So getting right into what I think is going to be the bulk of the time of this podcast, let's talk about Mag. What do you think? What do you think is the most influential game of the decade?
Of the last 10 years?
Yes.
I think it's one of those fucking rape dating sims, clearly. I'm sorry, I had to think of some stupid fucking game, and I couldn't think of anything that came out in the past 10 years. I don't know. The most influential game in the past 10 years is fucking Colonel Chicken KFC fucking dating sim.
True.
Absolutely.
Very, very true. That is one of the most influential just creations of our time.
I mean, absolutely. Have you played it? I haven't.
I have not. I saw some gameplay of it. It's innovative.
It's a dating sim, right? What do you want?
With Colonel Sanders.
What more? What's the exactly? It's got Colonel Sanders. It's got KFC. It's got fucking anime characters. It's fucking you date them. What the fuck?
Perfect.
I mean, it's basically the best. It's the best thing since Daddy Simulator. Basically.
Oh, true. Okay.
Because that was fucking good.
One of our viewers, Chris Boy, has brought up the actual game of the decade, and that is Garfield Kart. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, abso-fucking-lutely. You know? No, I agree. 100%. Have you played Garfield Kart
For anyone who doesn't remember that, I don't blame you. But anyways, moving on to the actual what you think is the most influential game of the last 10 years. What do you think? I don't think it's just one game. I think there's like different aspects, you know.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before. And I still think that when I think of it, right, I still think my number one go-to is Minecraft. 100%. But you were mentioning other games.
Yeah,
well,
I think
I completely agree with them.
I think that with Minecraft, it did have, because when we say influential, we mean something that's like, you know, changed the way that gaming was perceived, or the way that gaming worked, or the way that gaming, you know, just started to come about. And Minecraft was definitely one of those. Because think about this. Years and years ago, right? When Minecraft was in like its heyday, I wouldn't say that it's in its heyday right now. It may still be one or the most popular games right now still, right?
It's definitely past its prime, put it that way.
Yes. But remember you would hear about like soccer moms. They would be in like doctor's offices talking about, oh yeah, Billy is playing Minecraft again. That was the only game that anyone was talking about. Every kid on the entire earth played it, and most people who played games played Minecraft. I played it when it came out, and it's like, or tried it. I played it first when it came out in beta, and
I play it with mods because it fucking mod the shit out of that game.
It was with a group of friends that I don't actually talk with much anymore. Genta was part of that, but it was a group of friends from Miami that I went to go see a couple times, but we don't really talk anymore, you know. Problems with aging. But anyways, but yeah, that was back when it was just you could just place blocks and destroy blocks and nothing else. There were no items except for weapons.
Alpha.
No, the weapons weren't even in yet. It was just place and remove blocks.
Yeah,
That's all that you could
alpha.
do.
Really alpha. Yeah,
so that's when I started, and the game was far different back then. But yeah. So I mean, like, what was the first time that you ever played Minecraft? Like, when did you start with it?
So I didn't play on release. I played probably about a year. So it was released in like 2009, I believe, right? Specifically, like an alpha stage, right? I first learned about it about a year after it was first released to the general public by some fucking random dude that I was studying IT with at the time. By the way, I completely flunked that course because it turns out I don't fucking like IT.
Yeah,
Like,
I did a little
oh,
bit of it,
God.
and it's not the most fun thing.
I'm a designer, not a programmer. That's the difference. I like the art and creative side of things, not the programming and coding stuff. But in any case, yeah, that guy played Minecraft, and I flunked that whole fucking course because I just played Minecraft as shit. Played Minecraft during the fucking course. Played Minecraft after the fucking course. It's Minecraft. It was the first time I'd ever played any game like Minecraft, right? That was 2010. Right? So that's fucking, yeah, I mean, that is right on the fucking peak of the decade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I paid fucking nothing for it. Because that was when it was like a quarter of the price you pay now, right? Like it was like fucking $10 or some shit, some stupid shit. And then it just got upgraded constantly throughout the years into beta and all that stuff. And I saw all of that. It was good. For me, the heyday, generally speaking, in Minecraft terms is 1.7. Because that's the time when modding was massive, right? 1.7 was the first major fucking point in Minecraft's history because of mods. And if you've ever decided to mod your game, you'll probably see tons of mods that have never been updated past 1.7. And there are tons of mod packs that don't ever go past 1.7. Because 1.7 is
Yeah, it was honestly a little bit
fuckload of
frustrating
mods.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Because
The
I've
thing
tried to
is,
play
too,
Minecraft
is-
a couple times in recent time, and it's like you look back at all these awesome mods, and they just don't interact with the new stuff that comes out, so it's just, it feels kind of bad.
Some of those mods aren't necessary anymore because they were superseded by actual features in the game. So 1.12 was, I think, generally considered, it's either 1.10 and 1.12. I think both of those were considered like the next point, but 1.12 took forever. And the major reason 1.7 was so good is because it was basically one of the longest patch cycles at the time. So people had nothing to do but make mods. Kind of like Skyrim, basically.
Yeah, so that moves on to another game that I think was influential. So Minecraft definitely had its place, right? It did a lot of good things, and it did a lot of just
Keeping in
innovative and interesting things as well.
One thing too to mention, right, is that things like Battle Royale modes that we're so used to in things like PUBG and Fortnite, those were a thing in Minecraft before PUBG was conceived as a thing. Right? The first documented instance of a major Battle Royale game mode in a video game was probably Minecraft. There are supposedly other games that have mods for them, but I can't actually find any verification of that. So, Minecraft it is.
So, another game that came out around that time that I would say was super influential that we talked about just now was Skyrim, right? So, I would say for me, that was one of the games. I know this is a much more influential game for you, and you will speak on it at length. But I think that Skyrim for me, it was around when I was first starting to like really get into playing just single player games online, right?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is that when I was younger than that, most of my childhood was spent playing like Diablo 2, World of Warcraft, Blizzard games, right? Like I played mainly games online with other people. I played a lot of StarCraft, a lot of Warcraft 3, played a lot of Brood War. But around when Skyrim came out is when I started to finally get into playing a lot of single-player games that were, narrative-based. Like, I had played Morrowind quite a bit, and it was a good game. I honestly did not play much of Oblivion as much as that is unfortunate. I didn't play Oblivion when it came out very much.
The storyline is not as good as Morrowind's, but in saying that, the Shivering Isles DLC for Oblivion, is really good.
Yeah, I've heard very good things about Oblivion, but it's something that I don't have a lot of experience with. Skyrim, I remember, I think I was like just out of it was 10 years ago, right? 2009, right? 11, sorry.
2011.
So
because I know this because it came out on 11th of the 11th of the 11th.
Yeah, I was I think I was just out of high school, I'm pretty sure, or like a couple years after high school maybe. And I didn't have a job at the time because I was like right in between jobs. Like my current job that I had, that something happened to like the guy who owned the business and he just like disappeared. So I didn't have a job at the time, and Skyrim came out, and I'm pretty sure that I played it all day, every day, from the very moment that I woke up until the very end of the day when I went to sleep. And I honestly don't do that much anymore. Like that's a rare thing for me nowadays. But I played that.
Doing that with was there's 3 games I can think of doing that with mostly in my life. The first one was RuneScape. World of Warcraft was the second one. Skyrim was another one, and Skyrim was another one for other reasons, though. As I've already told you before plenty of times.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how it was for me, right? Is that I played it, I woke up, I played it until I went to bed, and that's how I played Skyrim until I was all the way completely done with it. And then I did one more like half playthrough, but if you know anything about me, I really don't play single player games more than one time ever. A lot of people like doing that. I'm not one of those people. I get very bored.
Yeah, that's why I save scum a lot, because I know I'm not going to play them again for like 5 years on stream, so what's the point?
Yeah, streaming is one of those things that has kind of made me want to play games again, just so you can like share them with other people, you know? But besides that, I have no real desire to play something or even watch something a lot of the time twice, right? Like a lot of people enjoy rewatching movies and rewatching TV shows, and I'm like, dude, I already know what happens. I could be experiencing new stuff or doing new stuff instead. It's just, some people like that, it's just not for me. I'll probably get a lot of hate for that.
For me, the only game that I will constantly play until the day I die is Deus Ex. It's just a game I like. I just have nostalgic memories about Deus Ex, you know.
It's pretty entertaining watching.
One game.
Watch that, by the way.
To what, Deus Ex?
Yeah. So
as well as the mods for that fucking god awful game.
Yeah. So Skyrim was huge, and Matt can go into a bit of why Skyrim was important for him. Also, Douglas is missing. Come here, Douglas.
No, not Douglas the Duck. Yeah, so Skyrim was influential to me mainly because one, I'd played Morrowind, two, I'd played Oblivion. So I was already looking forward to Skyrim, right? 2011 rolled in, and at the time, I was living with my parents, right? So I was like, well, same age as Bag would have been, 17, right? So 11 years ago. I think it's 11 years, is it 11 years ago?
8.
8 years ago.
Remember, because it's 2011.
Sorry, yeah. So I was like 20 something. But I was living with my parents still at the time, right? I was just finished study. I was out of study. Living with my parents. But my parents happened to live 40 kilometers out of town in a place with no internet. They were fucking living on a farm doing all that shit. So I had no internet access to even fucking install Skyrim, barely. Because Skyrim it required Steam to play, and I had the fucking like deluxe or collector's edition. I think it was a deluxe edition of Skyrim, the physical set. I remember this because Deus Ex Human Revolution released and The Witcher 3 released roughly around the same time. And they were a real bitch to get working. I had to install them on a laptop, go to a library to get them verified, then come back and copy the files over to my main computer to play them.
Oh god.
And I played Skyrim. Yeah, real rough. There was only dial-up and we didn't even get that, and you would time out in Steam with dial-up. Any case, so Skyrim was my de facto game to play. I played thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of Skyrim in the same manner that Bag did, because I just, woke up, played Skyrim. There's nothing else for me to do, right? I was living in the middle of fucking nowhere. I only went into town like maybe once or twice a week to go into the library to basically look for jobs. And even then I couldn't look for jobs because getting into town to do a job was kind of a bitch. So yeah, it was just a state of living. That's why I decided to end up moving and going to a different city to study more. But anyways, all that would happen is I would play Skyrim a lot, and then when I would go into town, I would download a fuckload of mods using the library internet, and then I'd come back and install them all. And I'd just try out basically every single mod on the Nexus. Just fucking try them all out, fuck it, because who gives a shit, right? And that's why I have fond memories of Skyrim, because I modded the fuck out of that game, and I still mod the fuck out of that game.
Yeah, I've heard this story quite a few times from him. That's why I...
If it wasn't for mods, that fucking game would be shit, though, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine, it's a game, but, like, it's really basic. It needs mods to really drive it forward.
It honestly...
Otherwise, you just...
It honestly was, like... So, the way that I always put it is that gameplay-wise, it was like a slight upgrade in the base mechanics from the previous games, but the, like, combinations and the uniqueness and the story and the just amount of things that you can do was a huge downgrade over the previous games, like a massive downgrade. It was, well, I wouldn't say downgrade, I would say it was a simplification, because I know that it was a specific thing that they did on purpose.
Yeah, the reality is that they simplified a lot of the actual gameplay and the gameplay choices to make the world better, and it did. The world is way better in Skyrim, but unfortunately the RPG mechanics, the actual role-playing aspect, is worse.
Yeah, The funny thing about Skyrim compared to the previous games is that if you aren't aware, there were games before Morrowind as well. There were like 3 games I think. And what's funny is that
only 2. Daggerfall and Arena were the big ones.
Oh yeah, okay, so 2. So what's funny is that in general, the size of the map has gotten smaller since the first game came out.
Yeah.
And that has just been a continuing trend the whole way. That makes me wonder if the size of the 6th game is going to be smaller as well. But
yeah, I mean, if they stayed at the same size as Skyrim, it's not bad, really.
Yeah.
It's terrible, especially when you consider that like in Skyrim they added, the worst part about Skyrim's world space is that they added new zones. Like the Dragonborn DLC, for instance, adds a completely new area, right? Like a completely new map. For instance, Dragonborn DLC is actually really interesting from a modding perspective because it adds a completely new fucking island with its own map and its own like fast travel system and stuff like that. And that's what enabled certain mods like Felskar to exist because you could then you could travel to Felskar and have its own mod. Same with things like Beyond Skyrim, Bruma, because again you could leave Skyrim and have your own map. They were massive, but the fact that they were on a separate map. They're in a separate world space. They're basically just an instance that you travel to. It's kind of, it removes that. Because, for instance, that's not true of Morrowind. In Morrowind, it is true of the first DLC, but that werewolf one, I believe Solstheim Island is actually on the same island.
Yeah,
like
I don't particularly remember, because when I first got Morrowind, I got the combo pack, and I played Blood Moon, and what was the other one?
Yeah, I never played... I can't. I don't remember. It's the one where you go to the mainland, and I never played Blood Moon, but
yeah, but Blood Moon was very weird because it basically it was kind of similar to the like vampire type thing that they added into Skyrim, right? You became a werewolf and you had to deal with the fact of being a werewolf, so it was interesting.
Tribunal, by the way, that was
Tribunal. There we go. I didn't play much of Tribunal either, to be honest.
It's really good though, story-wise. It's
I've heard.
Fucking good.
But yeah, so what I said before about the size of the map being smaller, so I don't remember what the specifics are. I could probably look this up. It was Arena that was the big one, right?
Yeah, no, I think it might have been. It's funny because I never played those games, right? And the thing about it was either Daggerfall or Arena, but the thing about the world size is that they were procedurally generated, so they weren't really like. What's the word? They weren't really that big. They were mostly just... You know how in Morrowind, the majority of the game in Morrowind was just empty space? Well, times that by 10 and you have, I think, Daggerfall.
Yeah, so, okay, so the way that it went is that Arena was semi-procedurally generated, and it had a 6 million kilometer squared gameplay area.
But
so,
it's like...
So the thing about it is that the locations of the dungeons and the locations of the towns were not procedurally generated. Everything inside of them was. So they literally mapped 6 million kilometers. Daggerfall was 161,000 kilometers.
Most of it was blank space.
Oh yes,
and it should
absolutely.
It should be noted there was tons of fast travel. You would never actually travel from one city to another city because
Yeah.
you'd be just traveling through empty world space. You would usually actually fast travel.
Yeah, you could literally walk for like hours and hours and hours and hours and just see nothing if you tried to walk. Lots of teleportation, lots of just fast travel, lots of just auto travel as well. But yeah, so the size of the map got considerably smaller, which I think, like you said before, is a good thing. But that's pretty much all I really have to say about Skyrim. Like, I enjoyed Skyrim, but I really hope that they go the opposite direction nowadays, because I feel that with Skyrim, at that point in time, it was where gamers, quote unquote, were like they were trying to target a more broad audience to give you an easier time playing the game. But nowadays, most people are so good at video games that such a basic experience is probably not enough.
No, but at the same time, do we trust fucking Todd Howard and fucking Bethesda? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I wanna reference the video. So, Todd Howard is this kind of person that just likes to tell you sweet little lies all of the time.
Oh, he's a pathological liar, 100%. Come on.
And the thing about it is that the lies that he tells are very well crafted. I have to respect him in this regard.
Hustle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to respect that. The thing about it is that they're not really lies, right? The problem here is that they are lies, but they're not so much lies of like, you can do this, and then it turns out you can't do that. It's much more, it's a lie of omission and a misdirection. In the sense that what he says is technically the truth, but the implication, right, is not right. He's implying something greater than what you can actually, like, achieve. It's really, really sleazy, but it's not technically wrong. That's the kind of problem.
And the other aspect of that is we don't know the situation at Bethesda, right? Like, we don't know what's going on and what they're forced to go through and what's happening with them, right? So Todd Howard could be like the fucking bastion of hope for these games, and he's trying his absolute hardest to not have them be destroyed, and he's put in this situation where he's forced to make these lies so that people don't feel as bad about it.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is, but he does have that history.
At the end of the day, right, his favorite band is still fucking Fleetwood Mac, and his favorite song is Tell Me Lies.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
It doesn't, ultimately, all those things are clearly 100% true and verified from the source.
But yeah, the problem that we have now is that Fallout 76 was an absolute catastrophe, and we don't know. It just makes me wonder if the Elder Scrolls 6 will be as influential in the next decade as Skyrim was in the previous one. Because, I mean, they've literally put Skyrim on everything, right? Like, that's a fucking meme, is the fact that Skyrim has been on every console for almost 10 years now.
People are already anticipating them putting it on the new gen, right? And the thing is, too, is that I think, like...
They will.
And the worst thing... And yeah, of course, why wouldn't you? But I mean, why wouldn't you, right? If you're not gonna, like, if the Elder Scrolls 6 isn't gonna be a thing for years here, you might as well fucking put Skyrim on new fucking things. Never mind the fact that both consoles are supposed to be backwards compatible, so there's no reason to port them. But whatever, right? The thing about it really lies in the fact that at the moment, really, and if you're looking at an open world RPG game, the reality here is that most people look for other developers now, like CD Projekt Red, for instance.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
The only downside with CD Projekt Red's games is that their mod support is completely fucking lackluster compared to fucking Skyrim. So they don't have the longevity. They're better base games, but they don't have nearly as much longevity.
Yeah,
so
it's a decision that I've always wondered about, right? Like, because these companies, they, in the sense of not making their games available to mods, I think one big thing that they're doing is that they're trying to preserve their ability to make new games in the future. Because if you make the game too moddable, it's going to make people play that style of game so much that it's not worth moving to the next one.
But it also should be noted that it takes up a lot of development resources. The reason why Skyrim is so moddable is because it's always been moddable. But if for say the games were never moddable as in such the same way, like The Witcher, for instance. The reason why The Witcher 3 isn't as moddable as Skyrim is because they would have to make it as moddable as Skyrim.
Yep.
Skyrim's moddability primarily comes from the fact that the tools that you get to mod the game are very, very good. They're effectively the same thing. You get access to the scripting language. You get access to the physics engine directly. You get access to the world. You can actually make new areas, interiors, and stuff like that. Just the way the game works, like, for all the negatives that Skyrim's engine has, the major positives is that it's built for being open world and it's built for being scalable as fuck. That's its strengths. It's scalable and it's moddable. So naturally, as long as you just give the players the same tools that the devs have, more or less, right, they can do the same thing. They can scale it up more or less infinitely. And the major restrictions
you do have to take that into
AI
account
and certain things.
when you think about the development of Skyrim. Yeah.
It's the fact that they've already spent fucking 20 years doing that already. They started with an engine that was already designed like that. And whereas other games like CD Projekt Red, for instance, like let's say like The Witcher 3 or Metal Gear Solid 5, for instance, their engines are not designed with that in mind. They have to be designed with that. And given that mods and mod support doesn't really make for more sales, it's not really worth the development cost for most developers.
Yeah. Something that you'll hear a lot on our streams in particular is that we try to be, we do get a little bit sensationalist with some things when we really get upset about it, but we really do try to look at things from a business aspect a lot of the time, and we do try to like fill in those little bits of information, because the average person who doesn't know how a business is ran, or they don't know how the gaming industry works, they're gonna think like, oh, well, they're making a shitty game that I don't like, they must suck, and they must not be knowing what they're doing. I could do it better. Understand that
Good luck.
the economy on games has changed, and there is a lot of old heads in those games that are in those gaming companies that don't really want to change because they're secure in the fact that, well, the old way has been making us money forever, why would we change? And they're going to be out within 10, 15 years, so, I mean, yes, it is fair enough, right? So, you have to think, like,
But it sucks.
It does suck, because it's just like the analogy that I always use was the car companies, right? That was the first iteration of what's happening to gaming companies now. Originally, the car companies that came out, they were filled with engineers, they were filled with people who liked fucking awesome cars. And you saw that in the 60s, 70s, and even the 80s. The cars that came out were awesome looking, they performed really well, they were made to last. They may not have been engineered as well as they are nowadays, because a lot of people think that, oh, when you crash a car, you see these cars and they crumple into a million pieces. That is meant to protect you. It is meant to absorb the force. If you see a car and someone gets in a wreck at 80 miles per hour and the car looks okay, that person's fucking dead. So, so keep that in mind when you see these cars and like, oh man, that crumpled into like a little ball. You look at the driver section of the car, and they're okay because all of that impact was absorbed by the crunchable section. However, when it comes to the actual like aesthetics of the car, the performance of the car, and the overall just feel of the car, it massively started to downgrade in the 80s and 90s because the people that got into the positions at the top of companies are now money people, not the people that actually care about the product. And this is synonymous in most companies nowadays. It's starting to turn around a little bit, actually, but
I mean, it's kind of like the life cycle. I've seen this too a lot of times on like Reddit. That's like the generic life cycle of a company, right? The company starts off. A startup company tends to have people who actually want to make a product or a service. There's somebody who sees that something is missing from either their life or other people's lives, and they want to fill that hole. So these are actually creative people. These are genuine people who want to actually provide a product or service. Those are the people who tend to make startups. But as the startup gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you have to hire people whose purpose doesn't necessarily align strictly with the original creators, but they exist because it helps. So for instance, an accountant, you hire an accountant, for instance, because you need somebody to deal with your taxes, right? And maybe to deal with your wages. That accountant might not give a shit about your fucking product. They don't give a fuck about your service. They just want to get paid. And their method of getting paid is filing numbers, right? But you still hire them anyways, because despite the fact that they have literally nothing to do with your actual product, they're still kind of useful because they take time off you having to do your taxes and having to file fucking wages and salaries and all that. So you hire them. And
it's a very important thing to have, and it's to keep an accountant. Yes, to keep an accountant or a lawyer on retainer to where they feel that they are indebted to the company is immeasurably expensive, like stupidly expensive. So,
and the thing is that cost gets paid dividends, right? Generally speaking, if you're a successful company, you'll be able to pay for that. It's fine.
Sure.
But the reality is that as the company grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you start having more of those people coming into your company who don't really care about the end product. They just care about making money. They just want to live, right? They just need money so they can pay their bills and so they can do the things that they want to do. And your company's hiring. So, fuck it. They're going to join. And eventually, your company is going to be clouded and diluted by more people just coming in for the paycheck than people who actually want to make a product. And it's a very tight balance trying to hire people who both are passionate about what you're doing, but also business savvy enough to know that they may have to make sacrifices. And then it gets even worse if the original founder gets offered a ton of fucking money by an even massive conglomerate, and they think, hey man, I've had my fill, right? They've already started the company, they've already made the product, they've already made the service, they've effectively already done what they originally set out to do, so fuck it, why don't they get a paycheck, sell out to a bigger company and leave? They can now retire. But the moment that the moment that the original founders or the original creators leave, that's pretty much it, right? That's kind of the death knell for that company. The company will no longer and will never be the original company, the original startup that it originally was. The entire company culture gets merged with the bigger company, and that's effectively the end point of the company. That doesn't mean the company's going to actually die. Rather, it's the death knell of the startup company into a completely different beast. Which is why when somebody says... Continue, sorry?
And this is kind of what happened with like Blizzard, for example, Activision. I mean, those are the same companies now. BioWare. I mean, this is something that you can see it happen. Anything that
Electronic Arts pays, anything that the point being is if Electronic Arts, it's why it's a meme. If Electronic Arts buys a company, that company's dead because of course it is. It's getting merged with a massive conglomerate. What do you expect? Of course,
it's just the life cycle of it. It's just what's happening.
Yeah, few company cultures are going to survive that massive merge. It's just not. It might happen. You might be able to. It's the fear that, for instance, I have with like grinding gear games. And the only reason that I would be slightly optimistic is because fucking League of Legends, Riot Games have existed for like 15 years, and Tencent haven't done very much in that regard. Because I don't think Tencent actually care. I think they just want to buy IP out so they can sell it in China and make all the money there. I think that's really
I think that I am not too worried about it. Like you've said before that you're pretty worried, that you were pretty worried about it, but Tencent
I don't trust them. The reality is,
and it's fine to not trust them. I mean, why would you trust some random giant company, regardless of where it is? I mean, it's in the least trustable country in the world at the moment, probably, but I mean, regardless, you really should not be trusting random giant companies to have your best interest at heart. They never do.
Of course not.
So I mean, I think that it was a good option. I feel that it was something that I need to remember to turn that shit off for this. What was I talking about? I was saying something. It completely threw me off. Thank you, Star.
About company culture and how they get merged and watered down and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was moving on to another point, which sucks because now I don't remember it at all. Yeah, that really sucks because I had a good point there. Company culture merging on to... God damn it, you actually messed me up, Star. I'm pretty sure that you feel wonderful about yourself right now, but I guess talk about something, Mag, and maybe I'll remember about what I was actually saying. Something about
Skyrim. I mean, that was it. That was the end of it for me, right? We should probably continue on with the whole fucking influential game of the decade, which is what we were originally on about before we got massively sidetracked.
The next one is going to be, at no one's surprise, it's Fortnite. Even if you don't like Fortnite, it is one of the most influential games of recent time, bar none. The amount of difference that it made in gaming culture, in esports, in streaming, and in the video game landscape is astronomical.
I'll be honest,
more than most other games.
Yeah, I think the last game that was as influential as Fortnite was, realistically, probably League of Legends when it blew up, right?
Yeah, true. I would say the League of Legends is one that we ignored, but yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't made in the last decade. That's the thing.
Was it?
No, it was made in like fucking... I think it was just on the fringes.
2009, yeah. October 27th, 2009.
So it is made 10 years ago, right? So to be fair, yes, I would consider League of Legends and Fortnite pretty much even in terms of how influential they are. I don't really think Fortnite is... Because here's the thing, I would like to point out, by the way, that League of Legends at one point, like 5 years ago or so, was considered the most popular game of all time. It surpassed World of Warcraft as being the most popular online game of all time. And now some people are going to argue that now Fortnite has trumped it. You would be fucking wrong, my friends. Fortnite and League of Legends are actually tied. And at any given point in the year, they will overtake each other if you want to look at the minute details. But the reality is that both League of Legends and Fortnite are just as popular as each other. Which is infinitely more impressive for League of Legends, in my opinion, because it is a 10-year-old game. And it still remains a fucking... It's still peaking, right? It hasn't gotten less popular. So, that's, when I found that out, I was like, what the fuck? That's actually genuinely impressive for League. And I don't like League. I hate League. I just don't like, I just don't like competitive League, right? And I don't play with anybody because I'm Australian. I live in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, OC for League is not the greatest.
So the reality is I could, even if I wanted to play it, because I don't think it's a bad game, I'm just never going to play it. But I'm not going to deny, like, the last influential game for fucking before League was WoW, in my opinion, in terms of the online space. And other than that, maybe, I mean, technically maybe Call of Duty as well. Because we can't really forget about those games. Those were fucking huge games. It's just then League came out, and then Fortnite came out, and they just blew them out of the fucking water. Like, they may as well not exist now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it, right? Is that these games are heavily influential, and they're games that have completely changed the landscape 100%. Gaming is not the same since Fortnite.
Too. Yeah, see, that's the thing too. It should also be noted that the record for most popular game of all time only gets easier to beat as time goes on, because as time goes on, video games become more accessible. More people start playing video games. So the reality is that, yeah, fucking League of Legends and Fortnite have like 8 million concurrent players every day, right? Which is great, right? But then in 5 years' time, we might see like 10 or 20 million concurrent players because there's just more people playing. And those fucking records don't seem to be as big anymore, but they are big. It should be noted that the fact that, like, World of Warcraft had like 11 million, or no, it had like 13 million players a month at its peak.
And those were
seem like
paying
a lot when you
players.
Consider, yeah, that doesn't seem like a lot when you think it's only a month. It's not concurrent. It didn't have 13 million players playing every single day at the same time. But the thing is, at the time that World of Warcraft came out, there weren't that many. There weren't like billions of players playing games. Esports wasn't a thing. So for the time period, 2006 to 2008, that was really impressive. And 8 million players every day is, for nowadays, impressive. And it should be interesting to see what the numbers look like in 10 years, and maybe how VR is involved in that. Because that'll be
I'd be curious to see, because VR is definitely going to open up a lot of the landscape. And I just died, but what can you do? But I think that something that the big phone companies have said, like Apple, Samsung, and all of those kind of companies have said, is that
just ignore this conveniently placed jump cut. It's fine.
Samsung, Apple, they're going to be making augmented reality devices within the next 5 years. That's the next big thing that they're working on. That's their next big project, and they have said this explicitly at this point. They're going to be making it where you're going to have a device that you wear all of the time, kind of like how you have your phone on you, and instead of it being your phone, it's going to be something that just augments the reality around you. And you'll still be able to use your phone and whatever, those aren't going to go away, but it's going to start moving into something where it's going to be like a natural piece of yourself instead of it being a phone, right? So, for example, your phone, right? You have your phone, and I would say that the average person is very integrated with their phone. Elon Musk has already said it. We're basically already, kind of cyborgs at this point, because we are directly integrated with our phones. Whenever you think of something, like, you can pull up your phone, you can look for what you're trying to find, you always have it on you, it's always connected, you're always, the only difference is between being an actual real cyborg and not, is that this isn't a part of your brain, it's not physically connected to you.
Yeah, the only difference between this being a fucking, between your phone and you being an actual cyborg is that I still have kidney problems. So, come on, Elon Musk. When can I be a fucking cyborg? Come on, Daddy Musk. Gotta love that. It's not right.
So in that regard, the landscape for gaming is going to violently change in the next couple of years. So be ready for that. But let's move on to the one other topic.
Violently change?
Yeah, I think it will violently change.
Is that the terminology?
Yes. Let's move on to the other interesting thing. So Xbox Series 1, is that what it's called? Series X, sorry. Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. So we've gotten official announcement of the Xbox, and we have what we think is a game dev kit for the PlayStation 5.
We'll start with the Xbox X, because that's the less egregious one to show, right? So we'll just Alright. So Xbox Series X, I mean, it's basically, it's the same height as 3 of the controllers. It's quite small. Quite fucking small for the amount of hardware they're putting into it. In terms of what we know, it's not that, I think we're going from, 6 cores to 8 cores in terms of CPU. We don't know what the GPU specs are going to be, because they haven't actually said anything. The SSD, it's supposed to be an SSD as the hard drive and twice as big as the current Xboxes, which is good. Absolutely fucking good, right? SSD twice as big? Fuck yes. I mean, SSD already, just sign me up to that shit, because load times on consoles is fucking garbage, right? Other than that, other than that, we know that it's supposed to have 16 gigabytes of RAM, but 3 gigabytes of that is reserved for the operating system.
Yeah, so I mean, why even tell us about that, you know? It's like, come on. So
I don't know.
Big numbers are big numbers now. So the big thing to think about these games is that we are finally getting a new series of consoles, right? It's been some time at this point. We're getting towards like the end of the life cycle for these consoles.
Finally, something else to play Skyrim on.
In the sense of history, right? Like, generally, these consoles only last, it's what, 7 years, right? Is the average, I think?
Yeah, and with the difference being is that Nintendo consoles always come out in the middle of the generation for PlayStation, Xbox.
Yeah, they tend to release much more often just because they have normally a handheld and a non-handheld console, but Nintendo has solidified
That might change now.
their position as the console that does both, right? So,
which is cool as fuck.
Yeah, I think that Nintendo definitely innovated well, and they've always been an innovative company.
Like, honestly, that's like one of the probably the best niches in the last 10 years in terms of gaming.
Honestly, I think that the biggest thing that Nintendo needs to work on, and this is from the perspective of someone that's not like super in the industry, they need to stop being so child-focused and so kid-focused. Like, I get it, that's fine, but I feel that limiting themselves so heavily, and they've done a little bit better in recent years. But
at least they allow more M or R-rated fucking games on their series.
Yeah.
Like the fact is, you can get Doom on the Switch, which is really, really good, right? That's a really big step forward. You can get Dark Souls on the Switch, which is fucking good, by the way. It's actually really, really good. I mean, I don't know why. Like, I mean, other than the portability of it, getting Doom or The Witcher 3 on the Switch is fucking stupid because it looks like garbage. But I mean, if you want to play Witcher 3 while on the bus or the train or whatever, yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do, right? But I don't feel that need. But fucking things like Minecraft on the Switch or even Diablo on the Switch, honestly, yeah, those are good. I completely endorse those because those are kind of games that I would play.
Yeah, so
on the bus.
So God. PUBG trade macro, dude. Stop giving me notifications. What the hell? Anyways, so I would say that the, God, these interruptions actually throw my train of thought off so bad, it's insane. The PUBG trade macro telling me new version is available, and why give me a Windows notification? That makes me not want to use it anymore.
That's terrible.
But
I agree.
But the thing about it is that these consoles are going to be the new generation, right? This is where things are supposed to get better, right? This is where we're supposed to be seeing huge upgrades in the way that the games work. Honestly, if these consoles are not relatively close to a mid-tier PC level of graphics, if they're not close to that, I will be very upset, and I will just forever shame these companies for making these consoles, right?
The problem isn't even the hardware on release, though. It's the fact that the hardware is never going to age well in 7 years compared to PC gaming.
Why don't they just make them modular? You know what I mean? It's like, I feel that it would be it would be easy.
You say that. But a company that has billions and billions of dollars tried that and fucking failed miserably.
Which one are we talking about?
The Steam machine.
Oh, well, I would say that
was the whole point.
I would say that was not the greatest iteration of more so what I was talking about.
The point being is, I understand that. What you're probably on about is the fact that why can't you just get a fucking stick of RAM and plug it in easy?
Yeah.
Why can't there be like upgradable modules in these why can't you have like, let's say you have this fucking this coaster looking, let's say you have the fucking Xbox Series X desk ornament, right?
Yeah.
And it has a panel that you open up and you could just take out. In fact, hang on. I have a fucking thing that I was showing on my fucking wish list for Amazon. Let me pull this up here. This is a Sabrent USB docking bay, right? Hard drive SSD docking station. right? I thought this was really interesting because it's just kind of cool if you have external drives. If you use external drives, they're all USB anyways, and the idea of this is you just plug it into USB like an external hard drive, and then you slot in SSDs into it. So it's just it's a bigger, more modular SSD, external SSD system. Fine, whatever. That's not my point. My point being is that imagine if you could just do this with a console. You just take out fucking components and then put in a new graphics card.
Yeah.
Take out other things. You put in a new fucking RAM. But the problem with that is that requires product designers in a factory to actually make a form factor for a GTX 2080, for instance, that fits in a box that can then be plugged in. Because, you know, like, obviously this works with, like, an external hard drive. An external hard drive is literally just a box with a fucking SATA disk in it. That's it. And then it just has an interface that allows it to be plugged into USB. So that's all we're looking for, right? We're looking for effectively the same thing. You have a graphics card that's in a box that's connected to an interface that plugs into the fucking console. That's fine. That's completely doable. The problem is, I imagine, is cost. Why bother? I mean, how expensive would it be to upgrade those systems?
But the thing about it
because you have to pay for.
Think about it this way, right? So, it would be similar to the Tesla business model. So they could make one console, right? They can make it so that it is one console. Every console has the same amount of power, but they limit the amount of power going down, right? And a way that you could upgrade it is that it has that one thing.
That sounds...
So the idea is that you could limit it going down, and the ones with the lower amounts of power, because Tesla talked about how this made them infinite amounts more money, and it also made them more accessible to people going forward. Because what it allows you to do is it allows you to upgrade over time if you want to, right? So,
but you're effectively not upgrading, you're just unlocking features that exist in your car already.
Yes, so...
Because you're saying they have a baseline that they then downgrade, and the downgraded versions they sell at, I guess, a discount, right? They sell them at a slower cost.
Yes.
I would assume that's the case. That's interesting.
So
you're just buying the same... But wouldn't someone be able to hack the upgrades in? Theoretically?
Theoretically, yes, but the problem is that
I mean, it'll be a mechanical thing as well, right? So you'd have to actually understand the hardware and the software.
And they use a lot of AI, so I mean, it would be tough to do that. But what I'm saying is that in the same regard, right? It would progress the longevity of the console for those 7 years. Think about all of the sales that are missed by people who are just like, they bought the console when it came out and they never bought another one ever, right? Instead, they could have the option of, if they decided to invest in making a upgraded version of it, you know how like they make like a slim version and they make like a pro version.
I understand.
Why do that?
From a business perspective, I get that. I totally agree with that. It's amazing, right? I fucking hate that idea though. That's kind of like, it reminds me of having DLC on the disc. You remember that?
Yeah.
So you pay $60 for a game, and then you have to pay $20 to unlock something that's already on the fucking disc, and it's like, well, I mean, what?
So,
it's on the fucking disc though. It's already there. That's bullshit.
So like I said, it doesn't exactly have to be that way. Just make it so that you can upgrade the console. Like, make it so that you can take that module out. You know?
You're telling me we have cars as a service?
Yes, that is what Tesla does.
That's. I mean, it's brilliant. Okay, from a business perspective, absolutely. But it's fucking terrible from a consumer's perspective.
Sure.
For the same reason that live service model games are fucking terrible. Like, Jesus, that's so fucking cynical. I'm cynical, but Jesus, that's a whole new level of cynicism, even for me.
Yeah,
Fuck
so
me.
it's definitely an interesting concept that is something I feel that there needs to be some more innovation in the ways that consoles are made, because for me, the only reason that I would ever buy a console is exclusives, and that hasn't pressured me into doing it yet.
Sure. But at the same time, you and I aren't the target market.
Of course not.
The reality is that consoles are still significantly... Because the thing is that regardless of what we think should... Because we're thinking of consoles being innovative from a PC player's perspective, wanting to buy a console. But the reality is that consoles don't need to do any of that. Why waste money on research and development of that modular system you're talking about when they don't have to? Because they already have twice as many fucking... They have a twice as big a market as a PC does. I mean, yes, we're seeing more and more console games slowly being released on PC, and that's fucking amazing, because they see that the fact that if you're a PC player and you already have a PC hard setup that's really good, right? the chances are you're not going to buy a console. So it makes sense to port console games to PC to try and break into that market that isn't going to buy a console. But the reality is that there are many, many more people buying consoles than there are buying PCs to begin with. And so there's no incentive for Xbox or PlayStation to make a modular system because they're already adhering to the majority of the market. That's really the issue. We're not the target demographic, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. There's not a lot that we can do about that, but I can still fucking complain. So, beyond that,
wow. I'm good at that.
Beyond that, there's a couple other little things.
Right?
Yeah, there's a couple other little things to talk about. So this is the dev kit. Keep that in mind.
I mean, that's what we think. There's no.
It's not gonna fucking look like that, Mag.
Yeah, I fucking admit it, okay? Because it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
It looks like a fucking Star Wars spaceship, okay? It looks.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that even as a dev kit, I don't understand the point of this grill here. So you've got hot air that comes out of these grills, I'm guessing, into hot air that comes out of these other grills. Wow, great design. Good job, R&D. What the fuck is the point of this? And also it's got like play buttons on the thing, and I'm thinking, who the fuck's gonna get up from their couch and push a play button? This is so weird, even for a dev kit. Like, I get it, a dev kit's supposed to be like the bare minimum viable fucking thing that it just works, right? It just fucking works. But
just works.
They've got patent
Apple.
fucking... They've got patent designs for this, and I'm like, why? Why would you patent that? It looks fucking terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, what the fuck? We don't know anything about it, by the way.
Yeah, we know pretty much nothing.
Nothing. We don't know stats. We just know that we don't even know if this is real. It's a fucking rumor. Okay? We're just gonna have to see.
We're just gonna have to see.
Motto of the channel. Motto of the channel. But in any case, let's go back to fucking something else here.
So, moving on to a couple other things that happen is that if you know the game, we're moving on to like the just stuff happening, right? Those are the main topics that we had for tonight, but just some stuff happening that should be interesting is that...
We got like 10 minutes left, right?
Is that, yeah, about 7. Maybe 10. But anyways, if you've ever played Magic the Gathering, if you've heard about Magic the Gathering, they are making an MMO, and one thing that I am quite questionable about when it comes to this is it's supposed to be an MMO ARPG, right? But it's centered around card drawing mechanics. So explain to me, right? Because there's no gameplay available for this game yet. There's none. No. All they have is a flashy trailer where they make people and they do like poses of what the cards are.
They announced the shit at the Game Awards.
So the thing about it is that
we got now.
This is a game where you're supposed to be playing an action action RPG role-playing game, and yet you're drawing cards to do your abilities. Is that action? I don't.
Also, I like to know, how are they going to monetize that? Are they going to have? Are they going to?
Oh, they'll find a way, dude.
More action.
Absolutely, they'll do fucking booster packs, dude. Come on.
Fucking like. Magic the Gathering's fucking monetization method is incredibly fucking bullshit and predatory as fuck. And the only reason it still exists, the only reason they even get away with it is because it's always been like that.
Yep.
Every single physical card game has always been bullshit RNG crap, right? Absolutely. I fucking hate it. I love card games. I think the gameplay's amazing. But the booster pack system, if somebody comes in and tells me, oh, it's cheaper to buy singles, fuck you. Why the fuck is that a thing? That shouldn't be a thing! It's ridiculous! The fact that their primary monetization market is to sell booster packs with random cards in it, or alternately you buy singles for like $5 to $10 a pop, or more, if it's rare as fuck. Hey, would you like, how many Black Lotuses you got, Chris fucking Wilson?
That's true.
He's got too many, by the way, he doesn't actually announce how many he has anymore.
Yeah.
Because he has too many. And if you don't play Magic, it's a fucking rare as shit card, okay?
Yeah.
They don't print it anymore, which is why it's so rare.
This is a card that,
even the worst part,
in mint condition, is worth multiple thousands of dollars. And that's on the low end, if they're in good condition, so, yeah.
Keeping in mind that the only, this is one of the reasons why they have game modes in tournaments that use the latest cards. Because imagine if they didn't use, like, there are game modes that you can play that use every card that's ever released, but the reality is that the majority of cards that have ever been released in any card game that still exists They're not printed anymore, so you have to buy them on eBay. And some of those fucking cards are fucking expensive because they never printed much of them to begin with. So,
yeah, these are like you said, they're just limited release cards that there's maybe, I don't know, like a couple hundred of them in existence. So
yeah, and some of those cards are fucking good.
Very good. Like Black Lotus, for example, in normal Magic the Gathering right now, it uses a mana system. Think kind of like Hearthstone, where it has mana, but you have to use cards to get your mana. Black Lotus just for free gives you 3 mana of any color, just for free.
Yeah. And the only saving grace is that it's technically banned from most play because it's not a modern card.
Yeah.
It's not current. It's not modern set, so you can't technically use it.
I think the only format it would be able to be used in is what, Legacy?
Yeah, and do they even have tournaments for that?
They
I
do,
guess
but that's just like, hey,
can't imagine they're popular.
that's like, hey, rich old people, here's your
That's
tournament.
Literally, yeah. That's like people just flexing on their fucking how much money they spend on a fucking card game.
That's
like,
all that
Jesus.
it is, 100%.
You know, the only thing that's worse than card games in terms of how much it costs are fucking tabletop games
True.
like Warhammer.
Very true.
Have you ever seen how much fucking money that it costs to get a fucking Warhammer set?
I don't want to.
So that you can paint it and then play it. And I mean, painting it's great. The novelty is there. I love that kind of concept. But fuck me, are they expensive as fuck?
Extremely
they look
expensive.
fucking good. Okay, they're very, very well crafted. But Jesus Christ. Don't go into tabletop, fellas, if you like your money.
Yeah,
Still
if you like
card
monies, don't do it. Not worth it. But I will say that beyond that, this isn't really news, but I just thought it was funny. If you go and you look at the what's it called? If you go and look at the game that they're now called PUBG Corp. They're supposedly making a new game, but this new game, they're like announcing it and there's no information. Like, I don't see how this is an announcement, you know? Like, they say, oh, well, we're announcing our new game,
apparently.
and it's literally nothing. It's a video of some rain and lightning and some sound. That's literally all it is.
So it's a video of rain light, and then the camera just kind of fucking pans back and forth rapidly, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like
okay, so what you've done is the equivalent to fucking Bethesda going at E3 and going, The Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
And the only reason that's marginally better is because people were waiting 5 years for that already. Nobody was waiting for PUBG developers to release something with a fucking forest in it.
Yeah.
What?
So my take is that it's going to be a self-referential design game on how they created PUBG in a basement.
That's right, we know. It's a prequel.
Yeah.
It's a fucking prequel to PUBG. Because do you remember the story of PUBG?
Yeah, dude, it was a great story. What happened in it?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure.
So that's the idea. It's like, excuse me, what? What happened in PUBG? There was story? Wait, oh, you mean the zombies, right? Wait, no, that wasn't PUBG. That's the game that they copied. It's like...
Yes, I understand. I like to reiterate that, yeah, we're talking about it, so it works on a publicity level. But the thing is if the only people who are talking about it are exasperated YouTubers or Twitch streamers, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to be talking about this. That's the thing. If your marketing campaign revolves around making it go viral on YouTubers, like on influencers and content creators... I mean, that's not a very reliable method of fucking marketing.
Not at all.
Okay, like what the... This was literally released at the Game Awards 2019. I'm like, why though? It's like, they might as well have just gone on stage and been like, PUBG, then walked off.
Yeah, that's it. PUBG game. Thank you. Yeah,
I mean, what is it called? It's called Prologue. Literally, that's the name.
That's literally all it was called. But yeah, we really don't have very much else. There's a couple other little things that were like funny, but Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 got announced as well, which is a pretty cool game for
Depression 2 Electric Boogaloo.
So that should be fun. I'll probably play it at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it.
I mean, the first one's good, yeah.
There was a lot that happened, but the a lot that happened were just a few major announcements, like new consoles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the whole Game Awards 2019 because the reality of it is that, and a lot of those games they're just trailers, right? I will say though, of the Game Awards 2019, there were a few games that were really good that they actually had demos of. I mean, they had a demo of a game called Eastward, which looks very much like Mother, Earthbound kind of games, right? Those kind of games in terms of RPGs, but its combat plays like Zelda or Secret Mana. That's a game to look out for, I think. The fucking game, though, everyone should look out for the game Carrion. Oh, that game
Yeah.
was fucking good. I played the demo of that. It's like an action, like side-scrolling like action game, right? Where you play an amorphous fucking tentacle blob. You're in it's a horror game where you're the monster.
Yep.
Fucking up humans and fucking tearing them to pieces and just destroying the landscape. You rip doors off their hinges and you just throw them at the end.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool,
like,
to be honest. He was telling me about
cool.
it.
You should look that up.
It looks very interesting.
It's fun. It's hard, but it's fun. It's good. Definitely worth a look.
But yeah, that.
Other than that, there's not much else to say.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. Remember that the two-step Discord is available. Links are somewhere. Can we show it?
They're in the description.
Yeah, they're in the description of the video if you check out our YouTube. So come join on the Discord. The main reason to join the Discord is to come talk shit with us or to see the topics for the podcast before it happens, because we just pull from a channel that's literally called what, Topics? Podcast material. Yeah, we just pull from this channel, so you can see what we're talking about, you can see the direct links that we're talking about, you can see everything there. But that's going to be it, so thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next week.